Welcome to PropTech Pulse, the podcast that takes the pulse of prop technology in multifamily. I'm your host, Shelly Robinson, and each week we'll be diving deep into innovations, challenges, and the future of work in property technology and multifamily. From AI-driven property management to blockchain and real estate, we're here to explore how technology is reshaping the way we live, work, and invest in multifamily communities. Whether you're a property manager, a tech entrepreneur, an executive, or even simply curious about the future of living spaces, PropTech Pulse is your weekly dose of insights and inspiration. So let's sync our rhythms and get on with the show. It's time to take the pulse. Welcome to PropTech Pulse. Today I have Thomas with Edenic Energy, right?
Yes.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm excited for the conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all the work that you guys are doing.
It's a lot of fun. And I always like talking to people. And I'm not totally familiar with what you're doing. And so I think a great way to open us up is to tell our listeners a little bit about what's got you to this point today in your career journey.
Absolutely. Edenic Energy is the biggest project and technology that I'm working on currently, amidst some other things that, I have going on in the commercial real estate realm. But I've been in business for over 12 years, doing music, doing personal development, speaking. My last venture was in business consulting, and also I have a background in finance.
Okay.
But as I was thinking about, why I'm actually here or how to even get here, it's funny because I used to, when I was very little, I used to drive trucks with my parent. And, my father used to work for Modern Equipment, and we used to haul backhoes, boom lifts, scissors lifts, basically all the construction equipment, going on construction sites. And I used to do that when I was very, very little. And, growing up in Baltimore, I ended up doing a lot of construction work, a lot of temp work. Some of you guys, the construction industry. And that's kind of how I grew up since like 12 years old, just digging, being in construction sites, wearing the helmets, wearing the vests, being on sites with all the equipment, all the people. And seeing something come into fruition, and of course, at the time when I was waking up at 4 a.m., I didn't think that I would be here at, 33.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. So, fast forward, got into the financial industry, which was my last venture. Had some great success, help people with their finances, with stocks, with bonds, with annuities, retirement, but also I really focused on business owners, and most of these business owners had real estate. So that was always part of the conversation when you're doing a personal or a business financial analysis. So I've been in this space, a lot. And of course, I went to school for electrical engineering, specializing in renewable energy, and also dabbled in a lot of data analytics and technology, in the past decade. And now it's here. I got out the financial industry during COVID, and, of course, COVID was spectacular for some of us, and some of it was bad, right? But I think the common denominator of COVID, it was a point of pivoting, right? Whether it was personal or business, a lot of people pivoted. So I had a chance to stop, the financial industry. I was tired of begging people to transform their financial life, right? And I was like, man, I want to do something real big, real huge. And of course, real estate is one of the biggest industries. The construction real estate industry is $1 trillion industry, and they go hand in hand with real estate, of course. But at that moment, Shelly, I also saw that climate tech was evolving, meaning the government was pushing dollars towards climate tech. So I said, hey, I grew up in Baltimore City, so I experienced firsthand how old, dilapidated, and unhealthy buildings impacted the environment.
Yeah.
Where I come from, we call it the hood. I'm sorry, right? But that's what is poverty. And, as I started to get older and I grew up in these places, I always thought, man, why don't we just upgrade all of these old properties? Whether it's commercial, residential, industrial, why not just upgrade them? Why are they, so many boarded up homes, broken windows, bad, areas in the built environment? So I came up with Edenic Energy. And Edenic Energy simply is an AI solution, of course, right? We love to say AI, but let me actually get away from it. Right. Let me get away from AI. It's basically a solution where you can find dilapidated properties and upgrade them from A to Z using your phone. So you can see the pre-development, the development phases, if you're an investor or a building owner, and you can figure out ways to upgrade your property 10 times faster than the industry standard. And it was just a prime opportunity. So that's basically where Edenic Energy started.
I love hearing founder stories, and that childhood work ethic is a theme that really kind of comes through. And like, my first job was picking blueberries. It's a hell of a job, right? It's incredibly motivating not to continue doing that. And I think construction's the same way. You get this work ethic and this exposure about what you do and don't want. And I hear that as a vein through founder stories. And then the other thing I'm hearing is that you see this problem, right? There's this problem, and every problem is an opportunity, a blaring opportunity in this case, especially living in a town that's like one of the older cities in America. It would have more opportunities to have upgrades in those areas. And I hear that. A lot of people don't know where to start.
For sure.
And looking. So I think you're really solving a problem and an opportunity out there for people who are looking to reinvest, right? And take it to current standards in a way that's really impactful long term for the building and for the people that live there.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, I want our guests to stay around until the end, and I know you've got an exciting announcement, and we do as well, so I just want to tell everybody to stick around. And then to kind of kick us off, I always kind of ask these future in a bottle questions. What do you see as kind of the top things that are changing in real estate technology in the next 5 years, and why?
Yeah, I love that question. And there's tons of things going on in the PropTech industry. It's wildly amazing. I think it's the internet era for commercial real estate and real estate in general. That advent of when the internet came on board, everything was just happening. It was just so much. If you just got to start, you would make a few $1 million a year. Being in the internet. So I think that's what's happening. But there's 3 technologies that, I may be biased, but also just with my studies and understanding the industry, one of the things is geospatial technology. I think the placement of properties, the placement of parcels, the placement of the borderlines of buildings, land, I think understanding the landscape of every single building across the earth, understanding where it's at, what's the address, what's the zoning, who's the owner, every, pre-development detail, geospatial technology is being kicked off to analyze that literally in the speed of sound. Literally, you could type in an address, geospatial technologies will allow you to analyze a property immediately, right? That's what I think. And I think the reason why is because of the satellite technology. Of course, SpaceX there's so many satellites that's in space right now. So we're able to look at the world, right, differently. But it honestly just impacts the built environment because you're able to see certain things that you won't see by just going on Zillow or going on Truly or going on Loop. These things, right? So geospatial technology. Also, this may be weird, but government technology, right? Here's why government technology, because usually, if you're a developer, you have to go to the zoning office, you have to go to the real estate assessor's office but oftentimes their data is outdated. So you need technology to upgrade some of these specs of the building, some of the information of the building.
Yep.
So government tech has a huge impact on the future of prop tech, simply because the government, like the EPA or your local zoning, office, has tons of data about properties and about buildings. So I think government tech is starting to realize, hey, we need to upgrade our systems too. And if you're a developer across America, you know that you have a headache with zoning office and the real estate assessor's office.
Oh yeah.
All the time.
Some of these jurisdictions that move so slow, any kind of tool or technology that helps speed up that long tail process, whether it's rehabilitation or new development, it needs that efficiency brought in to get things out of the ground faster or permitted faster if it's a renovation. So I hear you. I hear you on both of those.
Yeah, government tech. And I think the last one is also, hopefully some of your viewers understand that virtual power plants. Now, virtual power plants is something that it may be talked about in the energy sector, but it's really convergence in the commercial real estate industry. Why, virtual power plants? Because of the decentralization of energy. Buildings use energy, but also there's a huge opportunity to create energy through solar, through EV, through battery storage. And there's an income opportunity for the owner, investor, operator to disperse extra energy to the grid to enhance the grid efficiency. And, when I first started Edenic Energy, I would walk around and I would say, man, what could I put on buildings? What could I put on infrastructure to generate energy? And for that infrastructure, for that building, that asset, to put it back to the grid for an extra income stream. So those are like the three things that, we're focusing on, and also that I see the future really, really big for many different reasons.
I hear like self-sufficiency that comes from that. If something happens that's catastrophic, and then the ability to have that extra revenue stream. We are in a severe NOI compression right now. Costs are up, insurance is up, inflation's been up. I know it's starting to retract, but you've also got market oversaturation in certain markets that's taking a long time. So people are looking for dollars and real revenue as well. So that's really insightful. Thank you for sharing that. Do you see it changing the way people work in real estate in the next 5 years as well?
Yeah, it's funny because usually I go to, like, in my area in Virginia Beach in the Hampton Roads area, I would go to like small property management companies, and I would have on my vest, my construction vest, and I would just go around looking at their building, analyzing their building with some of my tools. And I would walk in there and, I would just ask them about what they're using, and a lot of property management companies, they use technology for billing, for collaboration with the owner, for maintenance, those common things.
Yeah.
But with the advent of technology, and I wouldn't just say just AI, but of course AI is doing its thing, but just technology in general in the 4.0 industry, there needs to be an advocate, right? So it's either a PropTech advisor, a PropTech intern, even from a college, or maybe a PropTech employee. I believe in the future, they will start hiring folks that are technically advantaged, right, to come on their team to help them with the tools. Meaning there's, the company that has the tools, but then there's this person that orchestrates the suppliers, orchestrates the technology, to then give it to the higher ups, the executives, because they don't care about the technology. They just care about the NOI. They care about making money. But there needs to be somebody that's like the middleman, right? That is saying, hey, these are the type of technologies I think our property management team should use. This is how we're going to adopt training. This is how, we will use this technology for our specific needs. So I think the workplace will change, not necessarily people getting fired, but new positions getting hired, right?
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
they don't want to hire a full-time employee, meaning prop technology advisor or person in that position, because it's a full-time position, especially to onboard and to do other things, right? And just to manage the sequence of technologies and the flow of technologies. I see that position rising up very, very, very soon.
Yeah, there is definitely the need to upskill. I'm a Gen Xer, and it's been really important to continue upskilling along the way. And there's definitely going to be a lot of jobs around technology and AI as it adjusts. And I think, AI is such a buzzword. It's, a lot of the conversations out there right now is really understanding the impact of it.
Yeah.
And how do you see artificial intelligence really kind of coming into play in your area?
Yeah. So we look at AI and this type of technology a little bit different. Right now, there's so many stakeholders, right? But right now, us as prop tech experts, we are way ahead of our clients, right? So it shouldn't be the client using AI. It should be us using AI to extract important data. So I see, and what we see at our company is we're not necessarily pitching AI, or we're not necessarily saying that the client should use AI, because they won't. What we should do is use AI in our back end software and our back end technology to extract data, because of course data is a huge thing right now, and just all over the industries. And with construction and real estate being behind in the tech race, we have to go back and dig up some data, some pertinent information, to start collecting, to start organizing, to start extraction of accurate information of a property, building, operations, whatever it may be. So I see like AI really being in the hands of the prop tech company. So I wish that prop tech companies would stop pushing AI and just use it for themselves to extract data to give to their end user. So that's what I see AI doing very quickly, is being able to extract, organize, collect, and really just verify accurate data about buildings and properties of the such.
I love that perspective. Can you share like a case study of kind of what your platform is doing and kind of the results of that platform? I'm super curious.
Yeah. We're in the very early stages. Even though we've been doing it for about 5 years, we're in the early stages of what we're building, which is super profound. And one of the things that we focus on underserved communities. So we first started in Portsmouth, Virginia. Then we moved to DC, Baltimore. We did some work in New Orleans. Recently did some work in Alabama, Detroit. So all of these places, because we look at old properties and dilapidated properties, abandoned properties as such a gold mine. Because eventually something is going to happen with that property. We want to be in the mix. We're not pushing when it happens. We're just saying we want to be in the mix. So, for example, we can go into Portsmouth, Virginia. We can go into our website, type in an address, or type in a buy box. Some developers have the term called buy box, meaning they want a specific type of deal, but they're trying to search for it, right? Meaning a deal that is conducive to their financial stature, a deal that is suitable to their nature, what they're good at. Because industrial is different from multi-home, vice versa, So we're able to literally create this buy box and pinpoint the top address that has the highest ROI and upgrade potential of that, of what that developer wants, of that asset. So what does that mean? That means, I'm driving past. Some of you, that are watching this, you guys probably have drove for dollars, or you have drove and said, man, that would be a good building to redevelop. If you're in the commercial real estate space, like, you would be like, man, either I wish I had the money, I wish I had the resources to upgrade that property, I would turn it into this, I would turn it into that. But what if when you had that thought, you could just type in the address and all of that information comes up? I'm not talking
Yeah.
about Zillow, Trulio. I'm talking about deep, in-depth information, so you can make the choice saying, hey, I'm going to pursue this deal, or nope, this is not in my buy box. So we want to literally remove all of the months, hours of pre-development and do it in seconds. So you can imagine finding a property, getting all of its information, the building specs, the owner, just the demographics, the market analysis, everything literally in seconds. It should be like that because the technology that is already out here can do that. It's just about putting the pieces together.
It's been disconnected. So that's amazing that you're bringing that together. And I think I grew up in Michigan, and Detroit has become such a place, and really good tax incentives as well, to have like foodies and these great restaurants and bars, and artists are coming back. And then you think about the opportunities that lie around all of that as that's starting to really, take off and get legs. There's a lot of opportunity there to have good buys and good return on investment.
Yeah, for sure. And you think about this. You think with these old properties, that means 9 times out of 10, there's old information. If you're in development, if you're in real estate, the first phase is analyzing data. It could take
old information.
Literally. So if you're pulling together all of this old information that's outdated, and then when you get to the site, it's like, man, everything I collected 2, 4, 5, 6 hours, maybe days, all this information is wrong because it was public information from the local assessor's office, right? Because these areas have low funding too for their government. So of course they're not going to invest in their infrastructure. That's why I said government tech is, going to be on the rise. You get this information and it's old. Our goal is to type in an address, use satellite data, geospatial technology, and upgrade all of the build outs, the as-built plans. So I'm really excited for what's going to happen for us in the future.
That's I really want to watch your trajectory over the years ahead, and watch as this unfolds, because I think you got your finger on the pulse. And right at the moment of opportunity as well with the technology that's available. So that's amazing. Any bold predictions for real estate in the next 10 years that you really see coming? And 10 years is a long way off, especially with technology, but I always ask.
Yeah, I think the number one for me is natural disaster technologies. Being able to like really future-proof a property, meaning, of course, there's like building codes, energy codes, things of that to keep up. But usually codes are just the bare minimum, right? But I think the world, the way it's going, you can call it climate, you can call it religion, you can call it whatever you want. The fact of the matter is that fires are happening, tornadoes are happening, flooding is happening, shootings are happening. There's so many things that are happening that are in places where we work, where we live, where we play, where we, just lay our heads at. So I think preparing buildings for natural disasters to be resilient, and specific technologies that can address certain demographics, like fires, like areas with tornadoes, areas, and where we're at is flooding. So there's a lot of tons of flooding technologies that are coming out to help asset owners and risk assessment folks and owners, all types of people understand, okay, if I buy this building in the future, these are some of the risks that I have to have my building prepared for, because it can happen at any moment, right? So I think natural disasters, and that kind of includes insurance technologies for commercial buildings and multifamily. I think that is a hard spot to penetrate, but it's also a needed spot in the next 10 years. That's what I would say, for sure.
That's actually really insightful too, and I mean that even goes into how to even pick your landscaping if you're in like a fire zone, or those areas too, and then goes into your risk rating from an insurability standpoint. So that's really interesting. If you could instantly implement a futuristic technology today, on all of your properties, what would it be?
Um, that is a great question. Our vision for like the next decade or two is smart city
Yeah,
technologies. I love cyberpunk. I love like the futuristic utopia version of real estate. It may not get there, who knows, but um, just the intel. I think the access to intel of a property, what goes on, who is in there, basically the heartbeat of a building, understanding that buildings are breathing and living, um,
they
and,
are.
and
Yeah.
and treating properties like that, and having an interface where humans can interact with that building. Um, I love to see that. Very, very, very soon in the future, actually.
I was at RetCon last week in Las Vegas, and smart home technologies, those
Yep.
different IoT devices, and kind of where people think those things are going to go. That gets into like smart detection, leak detection. Those are really just scratching the surface. There was one guy I was talking with that's actually working on like digital twins, so
Yeah.
that you can actually project yourself as a staff member on properties. And I'm like, that's interesting. I wonder what will happen with that. But I think it's gonna be interesting to see what sticks in the next 5 to 10 years in that arena as well.
Yeah, that arena is
Yeah.
funny. Arena is funny because most of the technologies now, that when you talk about IoT and smart buildings, a lot of it already have been on the market for decades. Literally, it just maybe has been analog, but it's been on the market for a long time. I think the application, meaning how can I use IoT smart buildings to interact with my resident? I think that's where the minds of the owners and developers, they need to start gearing, because what we do is we push the building. Hey, we can make your building more efficient. We can save more energy. I think the talk is, well, IoT devices can make you more connected to who is living in the building that you own.
Yeah.
And understanding that your tenant has a life outside of paying rent. They have to get groceries. They want to go to events. They want to socialize. So how can you use IoT devices in your building to orchestrate a lifestyle, right? In your multi-home
Right.
organization. How can you create a home, right? We like to say, how do we build paradise with Edenic Energy, right? So
And it's building. I think people are, even though we're all connected with our phones or disconnected with our phones, I think people are looking for connection. And that comes into the real estate rental industry really heavily, of people looking to connect in more meaningful ways with their community, with their building, with their neighbors, with the services that are around it. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there as well. Any advice that you would give to PropTech and founders right now, based on your own journey and experience? Any advice to kind of keep up in the next 5 years?
I hate to say this, but niche down, niche down to asset class. People like to say niche down, but they don't tell you what the niche down is to. Niche down to an asset class. So we at Edenic Energy, we look at dilapidated buildings as a asset class. Just like multi-home is an asset class, even though it could be a dilapidated, but it's more specificity to the asset, because yes, there's data, yes, there's technologies for buildings, but there's specific use cases, specific data points for specific asset classes. Industrial warehouses, yes, they may use property tech, but that property technology may be different from a residential home, right? So if you're in PropTech, really figure out, okay, how can I niche down to a specific asset class and know more about this specific asset class than anything? So if you're like, hey, I only deal with buildings that were built from 1980 to 2000, and they have to only be 20 units. There's a specific niche in that. There's a specific use case. There's specific problems that a 500 unit technology won't really solve. And I think that's a great way to expand and a great way to really get boots on the ground. One of the things that we do now is we work literally hand in hand with developers. We will go to the sites. We will walk properties. We will do all of that just to see, okay, how is this developer handling this specific asset class? And then how can I find other clients, other developers that are in this same asset class and give them the same solution? Just because I'm in Portsmouth, I know that Detroit has some of the same buildings, has some of the same issues. So that's the advice I would give the PropTech folks. Do things manually. Yes, the technology is out there, but do some things manually with the developer, with the contractor, with the construction worker, with, the property management team, and you'll get a lot of more insights.
So true, to get your hands dirty, right? Let's dig in and do the work, kind of like our teenage jobs.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
yeah. So do you have any exciting announcements you want to share with our listeners?
Yeah, we just got out of Techstars last year, so we're kind of revamping, restructuring our company, adding some things. We have our technology pretty much down. We know what we're serving, who we're serving, we know what we're building. But now we're building a development arm where we are going out to purchase dilapidated buildings ourselves, or with other partners or investors. So again, it goes back to like boots on the ground. We're building an arm that is going to do that. And whether we can purchase it ourselves or, we get all the specs, we get all the details of the property, and we do all the pre-development with our software from A to Z. So an investor, developer can actually say, hey, yes, I'm going to go ahead and go through it, or no, I'm not. We are going to start acting like developers with our developer arm. I think that's another just advantage in PropTech, that PropTech companies should really focus on the technology, but then also build something where they can go buy buildings themselves. Great test placement, a great way just to show what you can do and what your technology can do. And you own, right? You have ownership. You can kind of flow the way you want to flow with a deal. And the reason why we're doing that now is because we talked to a huge higher up in the New York Green Bank. This gentleman said, hey, Thomas, the way I see buildings getting upgraded in outdated properties and multifamily homes, transforming is if property tech companies start buying their own properties and working on them and showing proof and going through the deal themselves. Then I think there will be a mass adoption with these property tech companies. I mean, look at it. White papers, data points. There's just so much you can get from just buying your own property as a prop tech company.
You're living it. It's the ultimate case study. So that's really exciting. We'll be sure to put your information in the post when we link the episode out on LinkedIn, and really look forward to checking in on you in a couple years or a year and see how things are progressing, and excited about what you're working on to really redevelop some of these amazing urban areas that are actually just filled with so much potential.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for the conversation today, Thomas. It was a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
And that wraps up another episode of PropTech Pulse. I hope this conversation has given you valuable insights and perhaps even sparked some ideas for your own PropTech journey. Remember, the future of multifamily is being written right now with every technological advance and innovative solution. So stay curious, stay connected, and keep your finger on the pulse of PropTech. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to PropTech Pulse on your favorite podcast platform and share this along with your colleagues. You can also find us on social media for bite-sized insights and updates. I'm Shelley Robinson, and until next time, let's keep innovating, disrupting, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in PropTech and multifamily. Let's build it together.